Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Matt, if we haven't met, and this is the Wednesday evening meditation variety show. So, something a little different every Wednesday. We let Emily handle the Hatha yoga, and I'm doing the meditation, breath practices, etc. So, we'll jump right into tonight's topic, which is the breath. The breath is kind of this unique part of our being that is always with us. It is kind of a constant thing. It's required for every moment of our life. And while the breath does happen automatically, we also have this ability to kind of tell what our mind is doing based on how we are breathing. So by doing practices like this, well, at the very least, we'll gain kind of a better um, intuitive eye for the quality of our breath and maybe what that means for our current mental state, and at the same time have some tools to maybe just slightly change that. So we'll start our practice with just some simple breath awareness before we make any changes to the breath. So as with any breath awareness practice, you want to have a nice, comfortably tall spine, rising up from any slouching or setting up from any leaning back. You can even kind of rock back and forth in your seat and just find that sweet spot where you're buoyant, not falling forward or drifting back. Noticing what muscles you can relax into your seat, what you might be able to soften in your shoulders and in your face. Becoming aware of the sound of your breath that you can hear in your own head. Feeling this easy, cool sensation when your breath comes in. Feeling how the breath is warmer as it rises out. Feeling the breath as it moves through your throat. Noticing the tiny, tiny lift and lowering across your collarbones. No extra effort here, just noticing the natural breath. Seeing if you can even detect the very slight movement of your ribs. And then feeling breath all the way down into the belly and maybe even below the belly. Noticing what your mind feels like, having just attuned itself to your natural breath. we'll begin our first active breath practice. So throughout our different breathwork exercises tonight, just trying to keep this even keel, this inner focus that you can come back to when your mind might wander off. Our first active practice will be Paraka. So we usually do Vichaka, the calming breath, but on this rainy, cool evening, we'll kind of awaken to Paraka, the focus on inhalation. So next time an inhalation comes, notice if you can make that inhalation full without strain. No effort at all in your exhalation, just easily letting the breath go. And then seeing if you can make your inhalations longer than your exhalations. Each time an inhalation comes, maybe even feeling it slowly radiating, filling you up from belly to ribs to heart to collarbones. No effort on your exhalation, just letting it seep back out. Savoring these full, juicy inhalations. And even enjoying that sense of release with your easy exhalations. Maybe you're counting the length of your inhalations. If so, trying not to make it more than twice as long as your exhalation. So no strain, just a little emphasis on lengthening your inhale for a few more breaths. When your next inhalation comes, let it be your final one of this practice. Full and fulfilling. Belly, ribs, lungs. And finding that gentle exhalation and taking any effort away from those long inhalations. Noticing what it feels like to let go of any doership, any effort, just coming back to your natural breath. And we'll intentionally even the two parts of the breath. So just counting how long it takes for a nice normal inhalation to flow in. How long it takes for an exhalation to flow out. And then maybe seeing if you can kind of split the difference to make those two counts even. No right or wrong here, just trying not to strain. Feeling a full, even breath into whatever count you settled on, and then letting that release into an exhale of the same length. It is okay to adjust this slightly if you find your body asking for longer or shorter lengths of time. Just trying to maintain that evenness. And the mind will inevitably bring something across your mental field to distract you. The mind always wants to be thinking or doing or visualizing. So just coming back to your count, to your sensation of breath each time that distraction might come. We'll begin to take these two sides of the breath and just add a third portion. We're going to retain the breath after every inhalation. So you can imagine the breath as an upside down triangle. Your inhalation climbing one side, retaining or just gently holding your breath across the top of your triangle, and then exhaling the same length of time, the same count down the final side. You might be able to use the same count as your even breath, or you might need to breathe into a little bit less of a count. So for instance, if you're breathing into a count of 5, you're just going to hold the breath while the lungs are full for 5 counts. Gently exhale for 5 counts. And just start your inhale. Not holding the breath with the lungs empty, but just feeling this rise of lungs filling. Sensation of stillness as you retain the breath. And the gentle descent as you release the breath. If you find yourself struggling, that's okay. Just maybe reduce your count a little bit. Make this doable. Let yourself sink into this rhythm. Next time you exhale, just prepare for one final round, feeling those 3 parts of your breath. Let your breath settle again into a natural rhythm, setting aside any sense of doing, relaxing the face, the shoulders, anything that might have tensed up with the little bit of intensity we brought to our active breath work. And taking these final moments to just kind of scan your mental field, to notice any changes from our beginning of our practice to now as we reach the end. Maybe taking one final breath, letting that bring some movement to your body. So just as we use the Vichaka breath, the kind of long exhalations to find calm, you can use the Paraka breath that we started with today to find a little more energy, a little more lift, pep in your step. And then when you combine these 3 even parts of the breath, I really find that it helps stabilize the mind. So there's been more than once I've maybe had like a little panic attack, and just by taking a moment, turning in and counting my breath, stabilizing these 3 parts of the breath, it has really helped me. Sometimes the only thing we can control is our own breath when everything else is kind of spiraling. So I welcome you to try that. It's always good to practice before you need it. So thank you again for joining me. Namaste and good night.